Hey everybody, it's your boy Flamadiddle. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to improve, how I improve, what I focus on, and this is talking all about the stuff I do outside of actual games and matches, right? And so usually we're just gonna jump right in. Usually, so suppose you don't have internet, or you're in a situation where you're just tilted at the game. You don't really want to play with teammates. You don't want to communicate with anybody, things like that. You know, whenever you find yourself in some poor mindset, I always go straight into free play, right? And let's say I just hop on, I'll just hit the ball around randomly for like 5 minutes. And when I'm doing this, the goal is really to be able to follow the ball, follow every single touch you make, and do it fast, do it quickly, right? So in free play, you don't always have to aim for the goal. You don't always have to aim for the net. As a matter of fact, you're trying to just get used to how your car influences the ball, right? And then on top of that, we're really trying to increase our speed with reads. So that like crossbar bounce that I just read, the earlier you go up for that, the better, because it forces you to react and be able to read stuff like that. And so I think that's one of the huge benefits of free play. Just that you are able to set your own boundaries, right? You're able to set the limits. Nobody else is on the field to try and change your path. It's just you and the ball. You don't have to worry about anyone else. And I think doing enough free play is really, really important, as long as you're focusing on the correct things, right? So when I'm in this free play right now, I'm starting to slow stuff down. I got in my chase. I got my chasiness out. I just warmed up to the ball a little bit. Now I'm starting to work on some resets, maybe double resets. For me, I usually have my go-tos. So I'd say after that little first chase session, I then have like 3 things that I'll usually start warming up next, and those are reset to musty doubles, which is what I'm working on right now. We just scored one. So we have reset to musty doubles. We have double resets. Recently, I've been doing a lot of stall double resets, so that's something you'll see me do once I slow things down. And then I think a third thing I really like to go for is double touches. That's probably my favorite mechanic in the game, second only to air dribbles. I love air dribbles. And like I said before, it's really important that you're getting this game time while focused. So even if you're tilted in things and you just need to use it to cool down, it's still a little productive, but it's not as beneficial as it could be if you're actually focusing on, you're actually targeting something. So like earlier, you could be targeting your speed of reads. So now I'm starting to go back, just hitting it off the side wall and being able to read those bounces. Now I'm coming off the back wall, like the ceiling area. So as long as you know what you're doing, and then when something goes wrong, you really have to work on and think about how it went wrong and what you need to do next time, right? I think those are really important things that some people miss when they're doing free play. And they're crucial components. They really are. So I'm actually going to turn the music down just a little bit, but that's something I really like to do. When I'm chilling, hanging out in free play, I'll leave some music on, because that usually helps me calm down, gets me in the zone, focus on. Yeah, and so right now, I'm going back and forth between that little chasiness that we saw at the very beginning for my warm-up, to the slow plays. I think now I'll probably do a couple air dribbles to see how it goes. Then soon, I'm going to move into custom training packs. If you have Box Mod, that's fantastic. I sometimes use Box Mod. but box mod's super good for redirects when you're training redirects. And for me, for people who don't use box mod, a lot of times you just have to use your custom training packs. And so I have this one right here called redirect consistency. So we're gonna move into that. And what I'm focusing on here, I'm pretty much doing every shot several times over. So I'm trying to score every shot. I usually set a goal for myself. So for this one, every shot's going to be scored with a double touch like that. And then every shot I'm also going to try and shoot directly in with a lot of power. And it's really important, you guys, when you're doing this stuff, like I am, you need to make sure that you are truly focusing on whether or not the shot was good enough to meet your standards, right? And I guess that changes based on person to person, but for me, I'm not going to move on from this shot. I know I already scored the double. I'm not going to move on from this shot until I get the power and placement that I want on this other method, right? Where I just redirect it straight into the net from the ground. And you know, something that I just did, at first I was going for this, I think that's called a half volley, where you shoot it before it bounces. But then I changed to shooting it off of the ground bounce, so going for like a ground pinch. I think that's something that not a lot of people recognize. You don't want to be doing a shot the same way over and over, because all that does is develop bad muscle memory and bad habits, because then you're not trying something new, you're not changing anything, you're not improving really. So this is the type of focus mentality that not everyone recognizes when they are doing training. A lot of people think it's super brainless, and yes, you can still learn and improve when you're not thinking a ton in free play and in custom training packs and workshops. But the more you think about what you're doing wrong, the better. The faster you're gonna improve. You guys, if you want to go pro, if you have ambitions in this game to improve, whether it's pro or not, you know, this is the way. When you're doing custom training packs, you just need to be focused on things like this. When you're in free play, you need to be mixing it up, focusing on what your intent is when you're following the ball. So we moved on to the next shot, and like I said, I still have goals for each shot. So this one, I'm going to be trying to double touch in, and then I'm going to do another redirect where it's straight into the net, rather than a double. So we got the double. So now, a nice redirect, and we move on. So this one, I'll probably do the same thing, except I think I'm actually going to have 3 variations for this. So there's one. I want to do it off the wall, but then I want to do off the wall straight into the net as well. Let's see. It's a little high. And as you can see, it takes me many tries. I'm here to improve. I'm not here to perform, you know what I mean? If I wanted, I could probably put this into the net like 9 out of 10 times. It just might be slow. Like, I'm pushing my own limits, which is really important. You want to make sure that when you're trying to go for these shots, you're not necessarily doing things you're good at, but you're doing things that you want to expand on and work with, trying to implement into your game at a later time. So it might take you 2 seconds to get a shot. It might take you 2 hours. It really does depend on your skill level, on your ambition, what you're setting your goals at. But like I said earlier, we just got the second shot. So the first one, we did a redirect, or we did a double touch starting from the wall. Second one, we did a redirect from the wall. Now I'm actually going to do a double from the ground. This is gonna be quite a bit harder from this angle because I already start facing the wall. Ooh. And the thing about this, yes, I just scored that, but it bounced on the ground. It wasn't the backboard read I wanted, so I'm gonna try and get something better. right? You need to set your standard and you need to set your bar. And one of the things I live by, we don't like complacency. And that's just complacency for anybody who doesn't know. Complacency is just being comfortable without improving. Being comfortable where you stand, not wanting to improve yourself. And if you want to improve at the game, complacency is your worst enemy. Can't be satisfied. It's great to look back at where you came from and see where you are now, compare and be proud of your achievements, your growth, but don't stop there, right? It's really important for anyone trying to improve. Just for the sake of this video, because I am trying to show you guys what I usually do, we're going to move on. So usually I'd go through this whole training pack, maybe half the training pack, depends on how much time I'm spending and how hard I'm setting things. Like this shot probably might take me something close to 10 minutes because that's super difficult for me, very, very difficult, at least to get the quality of shot that I'm looking for, right? And so another thing that I'll often do when I'm trying to train, get better, improve, I'll do workshops, okay? And so one thing that, is super common, the dribble 2 overhaul, speed rings. Rings are super, super common. You see Forky doing them. You see a lot of pros doing rings. One of the recent ones is Eversack's dribbling challenge. That one's super difficult, super cool. It's pretty hot recently. But it's really important that when you guys are going into workshop maps, you're still focused on something, right? And so let's say I go into this dribble 2 overhaul, right? You have to recognize that this map is built for something, and it targets one area of the game, and in this case it's dribbling, right? You could go through this whole thing however you want, but just like in training in free play, those custom in the custom training that I was just talking about, you gotta set your own bar, right? So I could go through this whole thing dribbling pretty easily, right? And so usually on these first levels, I try and throw in 360s, something to push my mechanics to the next level, things like that, because it's really easy for me to just do the basics and say, that was okay, I'm good with that. But if you want to take your game to the next level, you can't be complacent, and you've got to be pushing yourself. So like you just saw with this, you have to create these challenges, these goals in between, for every shot, for every level, things like that. You got to create these little miniature goals, and even if you can't complete them at this time, it's going to set you up so that you'll keep working on them and be able to progress in your mechanical ability later on. So that's really, really important. But like I was saying, each workshop has something that it targets, and so the dribble 2 challenge, that that's great for dribbling. That's great for your groundwork, maybe even some flicking. Some people decide to push themselves to do it for air dribbling, but while that's great for air dribbling, if you decide to air dribble each level, there are specific workshop maps for air dribbling, right? Classic is the air dribble challenge, and it times it for you. And this is something that I'll occasionally do. I'll occasionally do it spinning the entire time. Try and I say my average is like 17, 18 seconds for this. Highest I've gotten was 20 something while spinning. But the reason I clarify while spinning is because I'm setting a new like a new mechanical goal for myself. So I can do this thing probably much easier without spinning. If I sit under the ball, if I bounce it up like that every time, or in ball cam, out of ball cam, these are things that you should really be defining for yourself to push to the next limit, right? And so every time I go into these workshops, I'm trying to change up how I approach it. Air roll left, arrow right, whether you're going to be in car cam, ball cam. So like each of these workshops has so much potential. Fun one that I've been doing recently, air dribble hoops. This one's really good. If we skip through it, you can see there's just a bunch of different types of setups that you don't see as organically in other games, like things like this massive ramp. So you push the ball up the massive ramp, and then you air dribble behind you, and there are these hoops, and you just have to air dribble in the hoop, right? And there are like a bunch of these levels that really allow you, you don't even have to air dribble at the hoop, right? You could just keep going up and up and up and up. And I think it's really fun. It's super different from the normal game, and there's like an endless amount of possibilities when you approach each workshop differently, right? So that, I think, is another really cool method. It's way more interesting than free play, but it's really cool to focus on specific mechanics. I think I would stick mostly to free play, but then when you are actually trying to target individual mechanics, workshops are really good for those. However, free play is, it puts a lot more mechanics together, because you're actually in your space. You're in the usual goals, or the usual field that you'll be playing in for matches, and it really combines everything and forces you to use all the things you've been working on. So at the end of the day, make sure you come back to free play, put together what you've been working on. But custom training and workshops are fantastic for focusing on individual mechanics. With that, everyone, I'd like to thank you for watching the video. This is pretty much just tips I have on free play, on improving workshops, mechanics in general. Make sure to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/flamadiddle. I stream quite often. And subscribe, like, for more coaching tips. Later, everyone. Peace.